Okay, now we're going to talk about editing task groups and how to get the best out of them. So I've created a series of activities on screen. I want to make it into a task group. So I'm going to select everything, Control A. I'm going to right mouse click and save it as a task group. So this is going to be my TRS2 split option number 2. So that's just as we've done before. So that makes it now in our task group, but we can edit it in here. So before I do that, I'm going to just delete everything so we can reuse that. So we've got nothing in our plan here. I'm going to save that for that reason. If I double click now here, we open the editor of the task group. Now it's all rather scrunched up, but if I click on the point here, there's a number of tabs. Second one is called range, and this information on the left hand side, these values on the left hand side affect the size of the diagram itself. So that's what we're going to just have a brief look at now. So what we're going to say is, for example, that I want this to start at say minus 150. I want it to be 220 yards per inch, so it's quite wide, so we can see what we're working on. Depth wise, I want it to be 1 working day deep, so we can really now see it much as we could on the time distance diagram. We probably want to change the end extent, so we can really set up a useful we might want to change the time of that, so we reduce the time. We can set up a very useful footprint. We probably need to go further here. So we can see everything, but we can also edit everything. It's much clearer than if it's scrunched up. So this left hand side, the view range, is about setting this up. So it's useful to leave it at a very good scale so that you can edit it. But the absolutely key thing that we need to talk about now is what the use of this section on the left hand side is for. And these values, the start distance and the end distance, are when we use the group, it's going to be scaled between these two values. So we want to use the values on the screen that define the extent of our possession. So when we draw a box that covers this size, it will scale all the things that have got these values, and the things outside of those values it will scale proportionately. So I'll show you what I mean by not making a change and using this task group as it is. So if we go back to our map, sorry, our time distance diagram, we use the task group, we draw a box in there, and we're going to use our option 2, remember, say OK, and so now it's scaled everything, not between our possession extents, between the green lines, but it's found everything that it's got in the cell, and it's scaled from 0 here to the end. So we don't want that. What we want is we want all of our possession items to be that wide. So I'll delete all of those, and we'll see how we can effectively do that with the editor. So if we make a note of on our coordinates tab that this is 474 yards to 1176, if we now put those values into these two areas, so it's from 474 to 1176, so everything will now be scaled between those areas. So if we go back to our diagram, we draw a rubber box between those two, and we say OK. So now it's going to scale correctly the bits that we want, and everything outside of those areas are going to be scaled proportionally. So it's a fantastic way of positioning the bits that you need. So if you've got anything hanging out the outside of the possessions, then make sure you edit it in the task group, because that will make it most effective to use everywhere else. Enjoy making your task groups.